The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Saint Mark.
Glory to you, O Lord.
Chapter 10, verses 46 to 52. As Jesus left Jericho with his disciples and a large crowd, but Timaeus, that is the son of Timaeus, a blind beggar, was sitting at the side of the road. When he heard that it was Jesus of Nazareth, he began to shout and to say, "Son of David, Jesus, have pity on me." And many of them scolded him and told him to keep quiet. But he only shouted all the louder, "Son of David, have pity on me." Jesus stopped and said, "Call him here." So they called the blind man. "Courage," they said, "get up. He is calling you." So throwing off his cloak, he jumped up and went to Jesus. Then Jesus spoke, "What do you want me to do for you?" "Rabboni," the blind man said to him, "Master, let me see again." Jesus said to him, "Go, your faith has saved you." And immediately his sight returned, and he followed him along the road. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Dearly beloved in Christ Jesus, today we celebrate the Mission Sunday, the World Mission Sunday, a day to remember the missionaries who have been a great instrument in the hands of God to implant the faith of Christian faith in Jesus Christ in our cultures, in our societies, in our countries, and in our own lives. And therefore, it's time for us to remember them gratefully. At the same time, it's also time to remember how much of missionary responsibility is laid upon our church. And when we church, it doesn't mean only the clerics, but every one of us, to see that the light of the gospel is spread all over the world, that people enjoy the light of the gospel, the joy of the gospel, the strength of the gospel. In other words, we are all sent out in the world with a mission to evangelize the world, which sometimes does not mean that we are going to make everyone Christians, but rather we are going to instill in them, the values of the gospel. And for that matter, we ourselves should be people who have somehow imbibed the values of the gospel. And like yeast and the salt, we would be in the society trying to, instill that values into those people who are in touch with us. And this we will begin right in our home, under our roof, where we have our children, the dear and near ones. And we have all the bounden duty, every one of us, not I alone, every one of us have got the bounden duty to, season everyone, or in other words, impact everyone with the values of the gospel. And we need to make their life tastier according to the values of the gospel. And on this day, we are given this gospel of Jesus giving sight to Bartholomew. He is not a born blind person, but rather, along the way, he has lost his sight, and he is longing to have his sight back. He knew two things. One thing is he knew that he has a faith, that Jesus can heal him. And he makes use of this knowledge, this faith, to call on Jesus. Not just call on Jesus, desperately calling Jesus. And he is the first one. This particular event is given on the three Gospels, and only this Mark mentions his name, and he is the only one who, in the whole Gospel, the first one to call Jesus as the son of David, which means he had clearly his inner sight. The sight of faith was so clear in him. So he makes use of this inner sight, the faith, to call on Jesus. and come to Jesus, desiring to come to Jesus. And he also knew that what he is not having is the bodily sight. The eyesight is not having. And therefore he knew when Jesus called him and asked him, what do you want me to do? Without hesitation, he said, give back my sight. Give back my sight. So very clear. This is very important. So how do we make use of our knowledge? What we know as regards what we have and what we do not have. Now Jesus acknowledges this and says, your faith is healed, go back. And he goes back, but at the same time, he doesn't simply go back, and we see, and he followed Jesus. Here, what is the theme of a missionary theme here? We find that, that there's a man who is longing to come to Jesus, and there are so many people who are obstructing him. Don't call on Jesus. They're trying to silence him. But he goes on, and finally Jesus listens to him, and bring him to me. So they bring him, and they said him, take courage, he is calling you. That exactly is the work of a missionary, work of us all as missionaries. We have to tell people, come on, he is calling you. He is calling you. Take courage. In other words, we are people who are supposed to instill courage in the people and to tell people that you are wanted by Jesus. You are wanted by God. Which means that I must know that I am wanted by God. So therefore, that is the thing, the theme of a mission we have here. Okay. Now, this Bartholomew had the inner sight, and what does this inner sight do? Our eyesight does not see what our inner eyes can see. Our eyes can see, the bodily eyes can see the colors, shape, size, and all those things. But it does not see something that is beyond size and color. And that can be seen only by our inner sight. Inner sight. This inner sight is something like a window. When the window is clear, and the sight outside the window would be clear to us. When our window is in a way dirtied, or it's not that clear, we will not be able to see the sight beyond the window. And we need to see that our inner sight is clear, and we keep cleaning it up now and then. And also, without the eyesight, without the inner sight, we'll miss many things that make our life colorful, livable, lovable, and a happy one. You understand? Our bodily eyes can see so many things, but it's the inner eye that will make us to appreciate, that will make us to see the value of it, see the greatness of the things that we see, people we see, the events that happen. It is the inner sight that will show us that God is at work there. Mere bodily eyes do not show us that. And therefore, it's very important we take care of the inner sight, which we call faith, which we call insight, which we call inspiration, so many other things that we call. These are things that we need to develop. Very often we are carried over by things that our bodily eyes can see, and we miss this. And this Bartholomew, because of the inner sight, he knew exactly what to ask. Unlike the John and James, we heard it last week, and they were asking something which is not very important. They wanted power. They wanted to participate in the power of Jesus, because they were at that time their insight was not that clear. And also, we need this inner sight to ask exactly what we want. Even in a prayer, for our prayer, we need this insight. Very often we ask, instead of asking fish, we ask a snake. Instead of asking bread, we ask for stone. Instead of egg, we ask for scorpion. How do we know that we should ask bread, fish, and egg? It's only through our inner sight. Before praying, we need to be purify. We call that discernment. Discernment. Yeah. Now, this inner sight could be, so in many ways impaired to see the deeper realities of our world and our lives. Hurried look, a busy look. When we are so hurried and busy, we don't see the things that are very important. We overlook many things. We fail to see what generally is not clear. We just, on the peripherally we see and just act on that. Later realize, my God, I made a mistake. I made a blunder. Because we're in a hurry. We never had a chance to settle down, remain calm. Secondly, our inner sight could be blurred because of a kind of look of indifference. I see it, but I don't bother about it. I don't care about it. I go about as though it is none of my business. It's somebody's business. We could see our dear ones suffering or they are in difficulties. We know it, but we overlook it and we just look this way and go. And that shows that our inner self, inner sight is blurred. And also our vision could be selective. I see this, I don't see that. What is convenient, I see. What is useful, I see. But what is going to be difficult, I don't see. What is really demanding, I don't see. What is easy, I see. And then go about with it. Yeah? And because that happens because our inner sight is blurred. And then color blindness, which means prejudices, biases, likes and dislikes. When I like somebody, I see only good things about the person. When I don't see the person, I see always the bad things about the person. That's what happened with the Pharisees. Jesus was doing all the good things. They didn't like it, and their eyes were colored. They were so negative about Jesus. They were seeing they were interpreting everything in a negative way. And then the short-sightedness and narrow-sightedness. Short-sighted means that sometimes we are so much bogged by something happens now, and then that we are not able to look beyond, or something happened in the near past, and we are so much lost in that we are not able to look beyond. We think that is the whole reality. The whole life is finished with that. But we need to look, this is one part of my life. There's a bigger area of my life. So I need to broaden my vision. So sometimes we have a kind of narrow vision that we are so much, walked with one thing, and we are vexed and frustrated and despair. Therefore, my dear brothers and sisters, today the gospel invites us as to how we are able to see, not only with our bodily eyes, how our inner eye is able to see what we see through our bodily eyes. And to that extent, we will be the light of the world, enlightening the people who come around us. We are sent into the world to enlighten the world, to make the light brighter, to make our people who are around us brighter. And that is our mission, and that's our mission calling. May God give us peace.